Hello, everyone. This is Mike Milton with ARX, and I wanted to thank everyone for joining today the Cosign Digital Signature webinar for energy and utilities. Today we have Brian LaPointe, our VP of the Americas Sales, who will be speaking and doing some demonstrations of Cosign, the digital signature solution. And myself, Mike Milton, who will be doing some wrap-up toward the end, going into some of the footprint of ARX and Cosign within the industry, and doing a brief customer case study for us. So just some housekeeping. If anyone has any questions as we're going through the session today, please feel free to enter those into the question section on the GoToWebinar, and we'll be taking a point in probably after the demos to address any of those questions, and then if we have some time at the end of the session today, we'll also address any that we didn't get to during the earlier question session. So with that, thank you again for attending, and I'll turn things over to Brian and we'll get started. So you're all set, Brian.
Yes, Michael, thank you for that introduction, and again, thank you everyone for attending the Energy and Utility webinar we're hosting this morning on the West Coast and afternoon on the East Coast, of course. For today's agenda, just to cover it, we're going to talk a little bit about what are the differences between electronic and digital signatures. Cosign is a digital signature solution. What are the benefits and what makes up a digital signature? But then quickly move into how does it work. So I have a few interesting demonstrations to show to you, and then after that we'll wrap up, and Mike's going to talk about some interesting use cases of how our energy and utility customers are benefiting from the use of digital signatures in their operations. Okay, so moving right along, one of the best ways to compare electronic and digital signatures is kind of define exactly what a digital signature is. Prior to that, the way I look at it, electronic signatures have been around since they've been made legal in 1999, even 2000, when you may be familiar with the e-Sign Act that was passed in U.S. legislation that essentially made electronic documents legal. At the same time, it made electronic signatures also legal. However, the burden is on the relying party to be able to guarantee, essentially three things: the identity of the person, the intent, and the integrity of the signature process that you're doing. And this is what digital signatures brings to the table. It's essentially is an open standard, but what it does, it guarantees those three I's. And it also has an integrity check that's part of it, as whenever you sign your documents, and I'll show this in the demonstration shortly, you get a visual representation whether or not something has changed on the document since you signed it or not. And you can see on the right-hand side a green check mark you'll see in your applications that you've signed or your documents that you signed if everything's okay. If something's been tampered with or something has changed in the document since you signed it, you get the red X, and that basically gives an indication to the relying party that they should question the integrity of that document, and most likely not to to rely on it, because it could be something that that's not valid inside there. Okay, so these, in the world of electronic signatures, it's the digital signature that's known to be the most secure. And the other thing about it is that once a document's been signed with a digital signature, enough of the audit trail and metadata, again, this identity, intent, and integrity piece is now embedded into the document. So no matter where it travels, it may be originally stored on your network drive and then put into a content management system, or maybe even submitted to some form of a regulator at that point. But the signature and the document are now combined together, and you cannot detach that. And what essentially is making up the digital signature are those components that I'm showing right here. There's the ID certificates. It's a public and private and public keys. There's that document hash code that basically takes a mathematical calculation of the signing of the document that you're signing, and this is how we know if anything's been changed, because that calculation gets gets compared, and then that's how we know if there's any differences that something has changed. But these bits essentially are embedded into your Microsoft Office files, such as Word and Excel. So wherever they go, they can be inspected and relied upon if they're valid. Or even with PDF, the popular PDF readers that are out there. So if you have a PDF document, you can open up and see it. The nice thing about digital signatures is that they essentially are vetted for security and consistency by leading international organizations. Here in the U.S. NIST is a leader, the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. They publish the standard, they revise it, they look at it to make sure there's no fraud and so forth, and they improve it, and so companies like ourselves continue to develop to that standard. And so that's essentially what the difference is between electronic and digital. Electronic signature, it's legal, but the burden is on you to prove who signed, when they sign, and why they signed, and that nothing's changed since they signed. And the beauty of electronic signatures is that that's inherently included with it. So what is cosign and what makes this different? So if you were to, today to go and use digital signatures, you may go to a certificate authority. There's companies out there that will sell you certificates, and they will allow you, to sign your documents. What cosign does essentially is centralizes the solution and turns your organization into a certificate authority itself. So it really cuts down that cost of having to buy all these individual certificates, which can be, several $100s each when you're buying them for everyone. Plus, it's centralizing the process, so as opposed to having these things just individually downloaded from websites or stored on, everyone's personal computer or on smart cards or things like that. It does that. But then also with the centralized approach of cosign, it's a turnkey plug-and-play network appliance. It integrates nicely with your user management system, such as Active Directory. It could be LDAP or whatever else you may have as a user management system in your organization. And so when you synchronize with that, you get a real strong binding on who the signer is, and it's tied in at that point. In most cases now, it's adhering to your policy and procedure of who these people are in your organization. If they have network credentials, when they join the company, now they're synchronized, and they issue them signing credentials through cosign that's tied in with your Active Directory. You know who these people are. And it also makes it very convenient to manage the process of enrolling people or changing people, or if you had to, after the fact, if they leave the organization, if you take them out of your Active Directory like you would, they're immediately taken out of the cosign system so that no one can be signing after the fact. In addition to the user directory integration, it also provides for its own. We do have its own user management capability. So for people who don't want to tie in with their user management system, it has its own built-in user management system, and that's what we mean by built-in directory. And that's useful if you want to manage people that are outside of your AD group or something like that. It's a very secure system. It goes through FIPS certification and JITC compliance, and this is very important for our federal government customers or anyone doing business with the federal government. When they'll require, or part of the regulations when you submit documents to them, they'll look for you to be using a FIPS certified solution. Michael on the call with us today on the webinar has lots of experience working with customers. He can speak to some of those examples if you have any questions on that. So that, in a nutshell, is what cosign does. It lets you sign your documents. The cosign system stores your public and private keys, turns your organization into a CA, and all this happens in a split second. When you're generating a signature, I'll show you this shortly. I just wanted to give you this little diagram so when I'm signing, you can see what's happening behind the scenes. But from a user perspective, you never see any of this stuff. It happens in a split second, and it basically signs the document and embeds the signature inside of it. Moreover, once we get into doing some signing, what is nice about cosign is it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you want to present your signature on your final signed documents. You can see on the right-hand side of my screen my graphical signature that I've chosen to use here. You can see on the next to my graphical signature some different fields, metadata fields, such as my name typed out, my title. I can present that on a document. A reason code is a very nice thing to show what is my intent for signing this. And in some regulated markets, it's required to enter a reason code. All this information gets stored in the certificate too, that's embedded in the document. But on the outside of the document, you can display this so someone can very easily see the additional information without having to click or open it up. And of course, the all-important date and time when the document was signed. This can be displayed on the outside too. People like these capabilities, and you can choose to display these fields, or you can suppress them and they don't have to be displayed. So you have all that flexibility. I found people to be very particular how they want the signatures on their documents to look. We don't enforce a certain way. You can design or the way you want it to look. We have customers that actually have county or seal, engineering seals they want displayed, and so instead of a graphical signature, they have an engineering seal. So it's many things like that that make that bring a lot of usability to this solution. And so we got our thick and thin clients. I'll show you how we sign with that. And then lastly, one of the nice things about having a centralized approach to your digital signature solution like Cosign is that there is a robust set of APIs that we have available from our system that allow you to integrate signature capabilities into any of your custom applications or portals you may have in your organization. So if you have a system and you need to collect a signature on it in your process, we have many people who are integrating Cosign, whether they use our out-of-the-box connectors or our well-defined APIs to provide signature functionality into their existing line of business applications and portals that they have. So how does it work? Very quick. We have a nice suite of desktop applications that very easily allow you to open up a document. And essentially, point and shoot or lasso and drag where you would like to drop a signature, as this screenshot's showing you. And then at that point, there's a nice little dialog box that opens up. And with Cosign, you can store as many of your graphical signatures as you like. Here's an example right here of one of mine, but it could be an engineering seal. It could be my initials. It could be a company logo dropped in behind there. Whatever you want to use as a seal or visual representation of your signature on a document. A way to enter in my reason code, my title, and then just click sign, and it's going to apply. We give you the signing software, essentially, is what I'm trying to say here. Is we give you some nice tools to do that for signing PDFs, for signing Word documents, Excel files, and even other file formats as needed. After you go to apply your signature, you'll be prompted, if you're hooked up in Active Directory mode, these would be your AD credentials right here, a username or password. We have clients that are using more sophisticated ways, such as a one-time password or different types of tokens or biometrics. So depending on what level of security you need on signing, we can configure that to work with your existing infrastructure. And then here's the important thing about a digital signature. After a document's been signed, using Cosign or any other essentially digital signature system you may have, it embeds this information, the signature, into the document. So when you open up Adobe Reader, and that's what this is an example of, and again, this is the no cost or the free version, Adobe Reader. It's not Acrobat, where you have to have a license for, a paid license for. But here you have a free license to read documents. It supports digital signatures, and so the first thing you see when you open it up is this green check mark in the upper left-hand corner. And what is this telling you? It's telling you that nothing has changed on this document since it's been signed. You can see the graphical signature block right here and how it's displayed, my graphical Brian LaPointe signature, and then the metadata of when and how and my intent I approve this document was my reason code. This information is also in the certificate that I'm displaying right here. And this is the detail that travels with the document no matter where it goes. And this is how, this is the way Adobe Reader presents it to you. So after a document's been signed by Cosign, you don't need us to verify it. The application itself is the one doing the verification of the signature. So there's no reliance on us as a third party after your document's been signed and put into your archive for long-term storage, you don't have a dependency on us. Whereas with other solutions, if you have to do the verification against an e-sign system that's in the cloud or something like that, there is a reliance on that firm to verify the signature, but not with a digital signature as the way this is deployed. So. Okay, so moving right along, we're going to get into some demos very shortly here. But to sum it up, with CoSign, we can sign your Word, your Excel. If you use an InfoPath, that's PowerPoint. But PDFs primarily, or any format that you can print. We can convert it to PDF on the fly with our tool and then sign off on it very easily. For folks that have enterprise content management systems, we do have a variety of best-of-breed connectors for them so that you can be working directly within that ECM system, whether it's web-based or not, but things like SharePoint or OpenText, Content Server or eDocs from OpenText. Oracle has Web Center content. K2 workflows, Nintex workflows, Alfresco is a DM system, Laserfiche, popular ECM system, and others. Even Documentum we have a connector for now. So if you're running any of those systems, do let us know, and we can show you how we've exposed signing features already out of the box through those user interfaces so that you don't have to do any of that integration. And as you can see, we also have the APIs to work with almost anything else that's out there. Okay, so Mike, I don't know if you're getting any questions. Folks, feel free to enter some questions through the GoToWebinar dialog here. Mike will is monitoring them and can answer them on the fly. And if there's anything you need me to you want to prompt me for, Mike, feel free to ask me while we're going here too. But with that said, I think we're 20 past the hour, so we're on time from my perspective. There was really 3 demo situations that I wanted to show off to the folks out there, and these are some of the situations, the basic scenarios that we see in energy and utilities. And I'm going to start off with signing an engineering drawing, and then also a legal correspondence. So you'll see this, and then I'm going to follow up by showing a solution where I can collect a signature from a customer and then allow the staff to sign off on it too as part of like a little workflow process. So think of sending a document out to a customer to retrieve their signature and then routing it through a workflow to other people within your organization to get the final signatures and having it archived away. And then I'm going to show off a little bit about signing within SharePoint or even with Office 365, because these are becoming more and more popular systems that you see out there, especially on the latter half there with the Office 365 environment. We've been getting more and more inquiries of folks deploying, again, Office 365 and SharePoint Online. So let's switch over. Here we go. So let's just start off. Signing with CoSign is very easy. Couple things here. I'm sharing on my a folder right now with several documents. You can see a collection of PDFs, see some Excel files, some Word files, even this text file we can talk about in a moment too. But I do have this engineering drawing right here. So to sign with CoSign, or any PDF, if you install our desktop application, there's a CoSign client that allows you to right-click on a PDF, and you have the option to sign with CoSign. It's the quickest and easiest way to really deploy, sign a PDF. So I'm going to open that up right here. Maybe shrink this down. So this is an engineering document. It's 3 pages. It actually has some blank signature fields already embedded in it. One of the things our tool allows you to do ahead of time is actually place digital signature fields and configure them to be named and display the way you want to into your PDF documents or even your Office documents. So not only do we let you sign the documents, but we also let you prep them with blank signature fields. This is useful when you're setting up templates and things like that, and you want to place the signature field in a specific location. You want to name the field, so people, in this example, you can see I have Engineer 1, Engineer 2, Engineer 3. But you want to name it, and you want it to display a certain way, and you want to keep that consistency and not essentially not allow the user to just change that. So in this example, I could either right-click, just double-click on the blank signature field, or I can use the shortcuts right here that'll basically let me, go right to the signature as I am and just sign. So what it does, it pulls up my my collection of graphical signatures, and you can see I have a few. I have my initial stored here, my graphical signature, different color for example, blue ink. But in this example, I want to sign with my engineering seal, and I'm going to click sign. I'm going to be prompted now for my username and password. And there it is. I just signed the document now. You can see it dropped in my engineering seal. Okay? And so this file has now been digitally signed. I can go off if I wanted to skip to page 2 real quick. Do the same thing again. Sign. Every time you apply a digital signature, as a best practice, this could be suppressed, but as a best practice, we display it this way. And then even I click settings. I'll go sign. I'll sign one more time. And there it is, and then go to signature. So it's all been signed now. And when I go file, I'm going to save this. So I'll close it. I saved it into here. So what did I do? I signed it using the CoSign software, and it made it very easy to sign the document. But then I closed it and I opened it up in the free version of Adobe Reader. First thing I see again is the green check mark right here. Nothing's changed since I signed it. Any modifications at this document at this point, that would have been a red X. You can inspect, through the Adobe Reader. You can see that I have the signature field right here, and I can now click on that, drag it over. I'll take a closer look at the properties, and here's the certificate right here where the signature is valid, signed by Brian LaPointe, so that's the identity of the signer. Here's when I signed it. I just did it recently, and nothing's changed. If I want to look at the certificate, this is what a digital signature certificate will look at. I am running 2 screens here. When I open these up, they appear on my other screen. But essentially, here's my individual certificate that's now embedded with the document for the life of this document, for the life cycle of the document. Okay, that's what a digital signature looks like. Whether I'm signing, it could be an invoice, any kind of PDF document. This is what it looks like in Adobe Reader. This just so happens to be an engineering file, and I can go to all 3 pages. There was 3 pages on this, and so it's all there. So all the details are here. Okay, so that's signing a PDF, that's signing an engineering document, right? The other neat thing about CoSign is that we make it real easy to sign your Office documents, such as Word and Excel. Here's a legal correspondence that I have in my sample documents here, and I could write out a letter or anything in Word, and then when I'm done, instead of converting it to PDF and then pasting in some kind of a graphical signature and sending it out where we all think it's on, you can't change that, which of course you can, but in this case, I can just apply my digital signature to the Word document because Microsoft Word supports digital signatures. So I can choose the graphical signature I prefer. I can put in my reason code, my title again, and sign. And there we are. Okay, so now if I was to send this out to anyone after I wrote this letter, I can feel assured that no one can go in and just modify my document, because if they do go in and make any modifications, I'll change the date here to 2015. When they go and open it up or revalidate it, you'll get a red X if you make any changes to it. So it saves me a lot of time. Think about what you do today when you save things and you copy them into, or save them into multiple. You create it in Word and then you save it as a PDF to send it out to somebody. Here you can just send it out as a Word document. And the same will be true for it works the same in with Excel. So if I have a timesheet here. Oh, this one's already got a signature on it. That's nice. And CoSign shows up in the ribbon. So the way I install it, it's actually in Microsoft Office. It's in the ribbon toolbar right here, folks. Right? So it's nice how you can sign with CoSign. But if I wanted to sign this other signature right here, it's the same thing, and I can sign off on the spreadsheet. So there's Word and Excel. Okay, we do have some fancier functionality if people want to. We have a concept called scope of signature. Lets you do sectional signing. So, some signatures you can apply. Right now, this signature is applied to the entire workbook, but I could also just sign off on a range of cells or different sections of a Word document. And it allows you to basically, sign an area, but then you can continue modifying other areas if you wanted to without invalidating the signature. So that when you start to use this functionality, it becomes very useful. But think about, Excel spreadsheet if you're in the accounting department, and you need to route this around and collect multiple signatures from multiple people in your organization. You can just set it up and have the different signature fields here and not convert it to PDF. Leave it in its original file format and route it around and keep the signatures. And that way, if anyone makes any changes, so I can change this, it'll invalidate. You'll know that it's been changed. Simple as that, guys. Okay, so that's the first situation or use case that I wanted to demonstrate to you guys today. Was from the presentation. I said I want to show signing an engineering document and then a legal correspondence. So that was signing, also known as signing a PDF and signing a Word and Excel file. Okay, the next one is about collecting signatures from your customers and staff on maybe on an authorization form. So you got someone that's outside of your organization that may not be in Active Directory, but you want to collect a signature from them. How would I go about doing that? What's the easiest way to do that? And then is there a simple way to complete that process? It's kind of a workflow at this point where you would route it through your organization and collect those signatures. So what CoSign brings to the table is this useful tool called CoSign Click. I'm going to log into it. And what it allows you to do in your organization, I can come in here. I've already loaded in this authorization form. And I'm going to send this out to a specific customer. And it's as easy as this. I can basically, I'm going to send it out to John Adams. I'm going to use my own email address. And then I don't need any of that. So if I wanted to have a secondary password, I could also enter in a person's mobile phone here, and they would get a text message or an SMS message, and basically it would be a password. For today's demo, I'll just avoid doing that because it'll make it go smoother. But what I'm going to do is enroll. I have a document, an authorization form that I need collected from an outside party that's not in my Active Directory. And what I'm going to do is send that person an email. And with a link to the document I want them to sign. So I'm going to click Send. It's going to appear in my mailbox shortly because you saw that I entered my email. Let's see here. Here it is. I'm going to pull it over. I have it on my first screen, my mailbox. And so I just received this email. Okay, it says, Dear John Adams. That's the person I enrolled. So I enrolled them in the system on the fly. Brian Lapointe has sent you a document to view and sign. Here's the name of the document. These are all tokens, right? And when I click here, I can view. This is going to take me directly to the document. If I had entered a cell phone number, it would prompt me for the password. So this is where you can have a little more security on that too. But what CoSign does, it allows you to present a document very quickly and easily to somebody outside your organization to collect a signature and then get that signed document back. And so here's that authorization form that's going out. You can see on page 3 there's a signature. I can go down here. And there's a signature field right here waiting for that person to sign. So all they need to do is click Sign. It enrolled them in the system immediately. So when I typed in John Adams, it created an identity for that person. And think about it's kind of challenging these outside parties to get their graphical signature. And quite frankly, with digital signatures, it's not all that needed to have a graphical signature. It's really there for comfort reasons. So we just use a fonted script of the person's name. We can add in force what metadata fields here for John Adams. We're only going to grab his date and time and his name. If we wanted to have a title or a reason code, we can enforce that. But that person can just get an email, click on it, take them to the document, click sign, and be done. And I'll let you know, this interface here is very mobile friendly, so this is going to work on your iPhone, iPads, Android devices, or other, Mac, of course. But now I'm done. I signed this document. When I click done, I think I clicked done when I clicked. Yeah, it's spinning right now. It should go a little quicker than that, but I'm on this GoToWebinar, so it's probably taking some of my bandwidth. There you go. Some kind of an error occurred. So let's see what happened there, guys. Sorry about that. Everything was going great when I practiced. Why would it send me an SMS message? Okay. Let's do it over again. Delete. Here we go. I think we've all seen some demos where it didn't go exactly as planned, but we'll try it one more time. John Adams 2. Okay. So now the sign is John Adams 2. Here's my email. I come in. This is the user experience. Click sign. John Adams 2. Click apply. The digital signature has been applied to the document. Click done. Okay, this is what was supposed to happen, folks. Thank you for your patience. But now, as the signer of the document, I have the choice. I can download a local copy right here myself. Now, this would allow me to save this onto my desktop. But what happens back in the CoSign Click system is that you, as the person who sent it out, now has a signed document right here waiting. So now that it's there, you know that it's been signed. And you even can get an email notification that it was signed. So this came back to me that it was signed. Okay? So think of what I just did. I enrolled somebody. I uploaded a document. I enrolled an outside party. I collected this signature. I now have it back. The nice thing about the CoSign Click system is that there's also, in this demonstration, I'm going to show you what happens next, is that I have APIs that will export the document out of CoSign Click and put it into my ECM system of record, such as SharePoint. And then within SharePoint, this would be where conceptually think of it this way with whatever system you may be running, but you collected the signature back, and now you want to route that document into your organization, maybe to collect some other signatures. And so I have a scenario here where I actually have a task right here waiting for me internally to sign. So I sent the document out. It came back signed from that third party. It's been exported from that system automatically and put into a content management system, and a task's been sent to the next person in the process that needs to sign off on that document. So I'll click this task. It's going to take me directly to that same document where it'll allow me internally to sign off within the system that I'm using of record, such as SharePoint. So here's that third-party authorization. Here is the John Adams signature that's been applied. Oh, okay, I can see the customer signed it. Now there's a signature field waiting for me to sign the document here as the agent, as it says. So the signature field's been labeled. It's been placed in the document. It's the only place I'm allowed to sign, by the way. And I'm given, in the workflow here, it's given me three options here. I can click sign it. I can reject it. No, I'm not going to sign it. Or maybe I want to delegate this to someone else in my organization because it's someone else's role to do it. But signing within a SharePoint environment such as this is very easy. Click sign. working on it, and we're almost done here. And so what it would do at this point, it signed the document, and basically, as you can see here, here's the task where I clicked it, completed it, and now it's sent it off to Sam Miller to collect a signature. So I have a little workflow. That's a three-party workflow where I collected the outside signature and 2 internals. And so, I assume everybody kind of gets the gist of this. So, okay, so that was that second scenario, Mike. I think I'm almost done here, and we can take questions or we finish up. But the last piece, I showed off a little bit of SharePoint already. I wanted to show you guys that you can sign very easily in SharePoint. So I showed you that experience. I showed you that with using a workflow that's built in SharePoint too. But the other thing that's kind of popular out there these days is people want to use Office 365. So they're starting to deploy SharePoint Online or Office 365. So you could have one cosign system deployed, and it can talk to these multiple environments, whether it's the SharePoint on-prem or in the cloud. It could be a different ECM system. But if I wanted to just sign a document that's in SharePoint Online, cosign adds in as an app very easily from the Microsoft Store, and it basically lets you sign any of your documents right within the Office 365 environment that I'm showing you right now. And so what this is doing, and just like that user interface I showed you with cosign click, we used the same friendly user interface is available for Office 365. It presents you with the document. It lets you click. This one actually has a signature field in the document already, so it's just one click. I can choose my graphical signatures, whichever ones I want to, and click Apply. Oh, I need my reason code. And any reason code. And then very quickly apply my digital signature within Office 365. I can take a look at the certificate through this interface that's been put into the document. And when I'm done, by clicking Done, what is it doing? It's putting that signed document right back into Office 365. Okay, so this is in the Microsoft Cloud at this point. Yeah. So what could be easier than that? So no matter where the whole point with cosign is no matter where you need to sign your documents, we give you a tool. Some people want to use mobile apps. We have mobile apps for iOS and Android devices now where you use the native app. You get an email, there's an attachment, you want to sign that attachment with your mobile phone, you can do that now too. So it's all about making it easy for the people to access their signing functionality when and where they need to sign. And so with that, I think I'm done with some of the demonstrations here, Mike. If there's any questions you want to address, please let me know, and maybe we could address them right now. Otherwise, we could also move on to the final part of the presentation where you talk about some of your utility and energy customers.
Yes, Brian. Actually, the questions have been queuing up, so it looks like people are anxiously trying to think about cosign and how they would use it in their environment. So yeah, let's tackle a couple of these questions now. The first question I have is how is a local certificate authority established for an organization? If you want to handle that or you want me to, that's fine.
I've been talking, Mike. Why don't you know how to you can take that one, I'm sure.
Sure. So for those out there, the cosign solution comes with a built-in certificate authority. So you can establish one for your organization and actually rename the root certificate to reflect your organization, therefore utilizing the policies and procedures that you have internally to your organization when you give people the ability and the privilege to be able to do digital signatures. So again, this is under your control, and you have the ability to set it up and use it as you see fit. Another question we have here is, did I see a link to Lawson? Do you support the Lawson environment? Yes, we do support that. We do have customers using cosign with the Lawson systems now, and so that should answer that question. Another question we have here is, can I convert a Word document to a PDF after it was signed? Unfortunately, you can't. because once you do that conversion process, you're actually changing the format of the document, and that would corrupt or invalidate the digital signature. So one of the things you do need to take into consideration when you're applying a digital signature is that it should be applied to the final format of the document. We do have organizations out there that deal with working documents that may be in, say, a Word document format. And you do have the ability using Cosign to select an electronic signature in those cases. So if you're passing around a Word document or a working document that is still subject to edits, you can apply an electronic signature, which is, as Brian mentioned, simply the graphics to sign off on a section. And then once you get into that point where you've converted everything to PDF and you're in a final format, you can route that document one final time to apply a digital signature to seal the document. So that's typically how that's done. But as far as converting it after it was signed, it would invalidate the signature. You would have to remove and reapply the signature if you use that step. Another question I have here is, can Cosign sign document formats other than PDF? Absolutely. So Brian mentioned that we can sign all the Office formats, so your Word, your Excel. We can sign list items. We can sign InfoPath forms. We can sign data. So really it comes down to what it is you're signing, and does that document format support digital signatures, standard digital signatures. And even if it doesn't, we do have a tool to be able to convert anything to a PDF for signing. So again, you have multiple options in that. So let's see, another question I have here is, do the documents that I'm signing leave my network? That is actually one of the things about Cosign is your documents aren't leaving your network. They're not leaving your environment. So when you're signing a document with Cosign, you're actually embedding information into the document itself, into the native format of that document. And that document and that information will now travel with the document for its life. And therefore, to be able to interrogate the signature details, as Brian showed earlier, all you need is the application the document was created in. For example, if it's a PDF, all you need is one of the many PDF readers that are out there. If it's a Word document, you need Word. If it's an Excel document, you need Excel. Also, the other thing you don't need is any connectivity to Cosign. You don't need any Cosign software at that point, and you don't need any connectivity to Cosign, because everything is embedded in the document, and that's really all you need. See, another question I have is, does Cosign work with any internally developed applications? Certainly, and we see this all the time. Customers have taken the time to develop their own homegrown applications that they're using, and in doing so, Cosign has a set of APIs that can be pulled down from our developers web portal, and they can be used to integrate with those applications. The ARX team can assist with any of that through either a professional services engagement or simply through web sessions, or we can provide a sample code or things like that as needed as customers are looking to integrate Cosign with anything that was developed internally. Let's see, another question I have here is, will Cosign work with mobile devices? And the answer is yes. There's several different ways we can interact with mobile devices. For example, if you're using SharePoint, we can set it up in such a way where as long as you can access your SharePoint environment, you can sign through a mobile device or a tablet. Anything that has a fully featured web browser on it should be able to sign directly within the SharePoint repository in that type of environment. Another environment that we can utilize is native mobile devices. So we do have applications specifically for Android and iPhone or iOS devices. So Cosign can be utilized with those as well. Let's see if I have any other questions here.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. I think that is it for now. If there are more questions, please feel free to submit those through the question section of the webinar, and we'll get to those in a few minutes as we're getting through wrap up. But going forward, again, this is Mike Milton at this point. I'd like to do a little bit of wrap up, a little bit of review for you, give you an idea of how Cosign is being used by some of our customer base today. You know, as Brian mentioned, with Cosign, you have a lot of choice. There's a lot of flexibility. You know, one of the big reasons customers today are using Cosign is it is the world's leading secure and standard digital signature. And that word standard is very important because Cosign does not introduce any proprietary mechanisms within your business processes. Cosign is a true standard digital signature, and this is what gives us the ability to have all these integrations with these commonly used applications out there. And that's why the customers like to use it. They don't need to be forced into using a solution a certain way because it is proprietary. They want to be able to use it with their SharePoints of the world, with their OpenText of the world, with their Oracles of the world. And with Cosign, with Cosign, you have the ability to do that, and it's very easy and very powerful to do within your business processes. Cosign also has unmatched security, compliance, and usability functions. So Brian showed you earlier the 3 I's of trust, showing who the identity of the user is, the intent that they're signing a document, and also that the document has not been altered in any way. Also, these documents, as I mentioned, are verifiable independently of Cosign. So again, all the information is built into the document and travels with the document for its life. Cosign is also centrally managed and controlled, making it very easy for organizations to maintain the system, support the system, and it also makes it very cost-effective as well. And then as far as usability, we provide you a very flexible set of ways you can sign, whether they be desktop, whether they be web, whether they be cloud, whether they be mobile. Whatever your use case is as a customer, typically you'll have the ability to sign with Cosign. And then finally, we meet the strict industry regulations, the FIPS, the SOX, FERC, NERC, and another one we just added to our repertoire is Cosign is the only digital signature solution that has gone through and achieved its common criteria, EAL 4+ certification, for use both nationally and internationally. And that's important as well, is utilized internationally. And we have a very large customer base outside North America, and the solution is recognized worldwide. So with that, you can go to the next slide, Brian. To give you an idea of who some of the customers are using Cosign today. And again, this is just a sampling. So you can get a sense in the energy space, first and foremost, we're being used by the Department of Energy. By different organizations or different sites within the Department of Energy, but it's very heavily being utilized. Organizations like PetroChina, Meg Energy, several others there within the energy space. Within the utility sector, we're being used by power generation systems as well as service companies. So everyone from Oglethorpe Power to First Energy, to utilities like Clallam County PUD, Grant County PUD, Hawaii Gas, to these service organizations like Bechtel Power, Black & Veatch, Terracon. And each one of these has their own way of utilizing the system to meet their particular business requirements, whether they be project documents and drawings, as Brian showed in one of his demos, to executing contracts. So again, it's very typical for a deployment of Cosign to start with a point project and then grow very rapidly from there across the organization. And we're working with many organizations today to implement Cosign as well. As many of you out there probably know, there's a lot of organizations that are still using a paper-based process. And as they're migrating away from that, one of the last things to think about is the signature piece. Unfortunately, they think about it when they have to print and sign and then scan back in to keep those electronic processes electronic. But Cosign is being introduced into that by these organizations and being taken advantage by these organizations to migrate forward to a truly electronic and digital process. So, and to kind of wrap things up here, I wanted to give you a true use case from one of our customers. In this case, it's Oglethorpe Power. They're one of the nation's largest power supply cooperatives with over $8 billion in assets, serving over 4 million customers in the state of Georgia. Now, they were looking to use Cosign to sign contract approvals with their loss and contract management systems. So I think there was a question earlier on Lawson. Here's a good example of that. Again, they had a paper-based process, and they were looking to go digital. So Cosign allowed the organization to maintain electronic workflow to gather the signatures for these approvals and keep their electronic documents electronic. As a result of that implementation, Cosign saved them on their paper-based cost alone $325,000 in the first year of implementation, and the return on investment in purchasing the system was achieved in 3 to 4 months. So again, the success of this kind of pilot project within Oglethorpe led to the expansion and adoption of use within Cosign within other departments throughout the organization. And as you can see there, the comment from the customer, Cosign has enabled us to realize a truly paperless process. Without Cosign, we would still be hindered organizationally processes by reintroducing some form of paper into the workflow for contract approvals. So again, this is an example of just one of our customers who has had a very specific use case for Cosign and are realizing the benefits by implementing it into the system. So that is the last slide we had for the webinar today. What I can do is take a look at the questions again to see if there were any new questions entered.
I think we're good.
Another question that did come in was, what happens if an organization goes bankrupt? I'm assuming that means what happens to those documents that were signed by Cosign, and how do they live on? Well, again, this kind of goes back to how the documents are signed with Cosign. And because we're embedding the digital certificate that uniquely identifies the signer and their graphical information into the native format of that document, and making that document self-contained, meaning that information stays with the document for its life, those documents can be easily archived and pulled up at any time in the future without any connectivity or software from Cosign to be interrogated. And that information will always be valid. So there's no concern that just because you're not using Cosign or a company has gone out of business, that those digital signatures that were applied will become invalid, because they won't. So I just want to assure everyone that. And it looks like that is the last question we have for today, Brian.
Okay. Well then,
So I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to sit in on the webinar today. Hopefully you found it beneficial. If there's any questions that come up after today's webinar, I'm sure ARX will reach out to you just with a thank you email or something for attending. Please feel free to reply to those, whether that be to Brian or myself. And then there's our email addresses right there. Feel free to reach out to us directly, and we'll be happy to set up any one-on-one sessions or any demonstrations that may be applicable to your particular business case and use. So again, thank you for taking the time to sit in on the webinar today, and we wish you all a good day.
all right. Thank you, Michael. Great job.
Yep.